welcome to episode 14 of Kingdom of Kodiak. I am Kodiak. With me today is Squire, Gideon, Stormcaller. Gideon, how you doing?
Doing all right. How are we doing over there?
We just had a power outage, so little behind, little frantic, but we're here. We got it going. So
Those storms sometimes can be a bit tricky.
yeah, absolutely. Those storms. I'm blaming you. Anyways, let's jump right into the bare necessities. Sorry, Sim. Gideon Stormcaller, where does that name come from?
So it's actually an interesting story. So I didn't have a name until my first clan, Gathering of the Crowns. And because up to that point, I've been playing Amtgard for about 6 months, but it was mostly a majority of fighter practices because of my work schedule. So I just wasn't able to work it out to where I could go to park, but finally was able to get Gathering of the Crowns off. So I went to that. Was trying to figure out what I wanted to be called. What do I want to go by? This is my big first event. And we actually talked about this a little while ago in one of the Dragonspine classes. I was walking around Gathering of Clans, looking at stuff. I was in Merchant Row, and I happened to see this really cool war horn that I was like, oh, I gotta have that. I don't know how I'm gonna get it, but I'll figure it out. I ended up talking to the guy for a while, came back later that night. I had some mead with me. I made a trade bottle of mead for the horn. I was ecstatic. It was a bottle of mead. It wasn't even my brewed mead. It was just some mead I had extra. But I hung out with him. We drank some mead together. He gave me the horn as a gift. And then I spent the rest of Gathering the Clans that year trying to learn how to blow a freaking war horn. And it's a true carved horn. I can go get it here in a minute if you want, or before we're done. And they're a lot harder than you think. But it would turn out every time I would successfully blow this horn, out of nowhere, whether it was sunny or not, it would start storming and raining at Clan. So people would hear me walking around Clan blowing this horn, and then suddenly it would start raining. And then we got the idea we're going to call it the Horn of Stormcalling. And then I got the name Stormcaller, and then Gideon came a little bit later as my true name. And then, like I said, the title of Stormcaller was just kind of given to me through that.
That's super awesome. So you mentioned that you were fighting your practice before you were going to any events or be really getting to enjoy Amtgard thoroughly. How long have you been playing the game?
Oof. I forget now. It's either 5 or 6 years at this point. I'm thrown off, as some of you know. I have the rough. It's been like a year or two of medical issues, but on and off throughout that time. But still, it's 6 years now. Roughly a year longer than you, I think.
Oh, well, then it's not as long as you think, because I'm only working on my 3rd year.
Oh, well, no, then it's 2 years longer than you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still relatively a baby when it comes to Amtgard time. I'm just an old guy.
So on your 3rd year, then I'm on my 5th.
Okay, fantastic.
That would make sense. So
all right, awesome. So in your 5 years of playing the game, you've accumulated some awards. What would you say is the one that you're most proud of?
I'm not even sure what all awards I have right now. The awards I'm most proud of isn't even on the org, I don't think. I don't think it's on the org. It was an award given to me by King Smiley, who now runs Smiley Foamworks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an award given to me it was my second Gathering of the Clans. Second Gathering of the Clans, or Crowns, as we try to call it now.
Yep.
It was a very busy one. I didn't get much sleep. I ended up spending every night working 1 or 2 shifts at the gate because we didn't have enough volunteers for the gate. So I ended up spending a lot of time working the gate, and then I would work all day, either volunteering here or there. But I'd been given an award and a title that I think we need to get fixed on the art. But
No, it's Guardian of the Gate.
yeah, Guardian of the Gate
It's there.
on there.
Yeah.
For a while, it wasn't on there. But yeah, Guardian of the Gate is probably the one I'm most proud of because I felt I truly earned that. And it was, how many hours is 5 days of no sleep?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
No sleep and heavy activity during the day. But yeah, that's probably my proudest title. I don't consider award because it's a true award. You had mentioned something about my Squire belt being labeled as an award. I don't consider it an award, but that would be second if we were considering things.
We'll talk about the Squire belt and the belt line here down the road in a second. But for anyone who hasn't been to a GOTC or Gathering of the Crowns, gate is no joke. I did it last year, and like middle of the night kind of thing, just so it could help out. Because again, there's not a lot of people volunteering to do that. A lot of people want to enjoy themselves, which is fine. But yeah, that's 4 hours of just staring out into the nothingness. It's oof. Anyways, so Gideon, we've slightly touched in your health being a problem and not allowing you to be able to play as much Amp Guard as you would like. But when you have an opportunity to play Amp Guard, what would you say is your favorite kind of battle game?
Ooh, favorite kind of battle game is anything that's strategic and either requires or encourages team play.
Okay.
As eventually we'll get to, I'm sure. And a lot of people know my favorite class is Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to play Warrior is with friends. So anything that will allow me to do that and get out there is something I love. Especially if it's got some puzzles in it. We're not all murder hobos.
Yeah. I've definitely seen some interesting games where the idea of being good at combat and good using the weapons is one thing, but then you start throwing puzzles at people and they're like, oh, all right, I gotta think about my life here a little bit. It's really fun.
And as a game designer, I love playing with drawing a blank on it. The field, playing with the field, obstacles.
Yeah, terrain.
Building things and making it more tactical and strategic, and then having things in there that I love punishing players who just want to be murder hobos. Every now and then I'll throw an NPC in there that if you mess with could wreck the whole field. Yeah. Just because that's how it should be. Like sometimes there shouldn't be people that can just wipe everybody. Like it's what it needs to happen. Like if you're going to be a murder hobo, you get punished for it sometimes.
When there's a Sir Francis is going to be on here in a couple weeks, but he has a very great story of a game that we built for him where he's the main boss, and the room has one blockade in it, and he has rain of arrows every 60 seconds. So you have 60 seconds to kill all the minions and get to him and kill him, get the item he had and bring it back to your base. And if you don't do it as a team, you're going to die. And as some people in the chat can contest, we died a lot that day because Sir Francis, 60 seconds, bam, was on that rain of arrows. Kills everyone in the room. So a lot of fun. Tactics and stuff, super great. I'd really like to get that game back out on the field again, too. So we're aware. We're very aware that your favorite class is Warrior. And normally I would ask what your favorite class is. But why don't you tell us why that is?
Why it's my favorite class? It's an underdog. It's a viewed underdog. It's not at all. But people will constantly tell you, You can't play warrior unless you have armor, or it's nerfed in certain ways if you like it's pay to play, stuff like that. And none of that's true. Some of it to an extent, if you look at it, if you want to look at it that way, or you can open your mind and see it the way it's meant to be. But a lot of people view it as an underdog or so underplayed. The first park I played at, I was the only warrior until I moved parks. I never saw another warrior until I moved parks. I didn't see another warrior until I played warrior for 6 months. Once again, it was mostly fighter practice, and I think 2 actual park days. I did not meet somebody who played warrior until my first GOCC. And it's amazing. I love it. It's so much fun. There's so much you can do with it. It's a versatile class, but it also requires a lot of off-brand skill. What I mean by that is a lot of classes, you rely on your abilities. You can do that with Warrior, but what Warrior truly relies on is you building up your battlefield awareness, your communication with other people. Warrior is one of the most mental classes there are, because you're doing math while fighting constantly, especially if you're wearing a lot of armor.
Yeah.
You've got 5 different zones of armor, each with up to 6 points of armor. You're getting hit and you're constantly doing math to each side and keeping up with it. I hope some people
right.
just kind of throw out stuff, but you need to be keeping up with it. On top of that, you're doing the mental strategy of how am I going to take on these people? How am I going to take on the people over there? How do I support my team? How do I move them forward? How do I defend the people I need to be defending? How do I take on and draw attention to myself with the people I should be drawing attention to myself with? So I personally believe Warrior is one of the most mental games there is on the field right now. That's not to say it's difficult. It's just it's a completely different way to play than any other class. The magic users and stuff, it's a memorization game. You have to memorize your spells, and then it's a strategy, memorizing the strategies, where this goes, how to use it, and who to use it on. But Warrior's an adaptive mental game. You're constantly doing, like I said, mental maths and all of that. So I think that's what draws me in, and probably why it's my favorite class of all of them. And a very underrated. And once again, different from Barbarian in that, because Barbarian, true to form, it's kind of a brutal, just smash and go.
Yeah.
You don't think as a Barbarian, you don't have to. But as a warrior, if you want to be successful as a warrior, you truly need to be strategic and know what you're doing and thinking and keeping your math under you.
That's awesome. And all on the fly too, which, I mean, you're asking that of operating for your different spellcasting classes, but to be on the fly and thinking about warriors. It's a really great thought process. I really appreciate that as an answer. That would be the bare necessities for us today. 2 of our repeat Kingdom of Kodiak questions that always seem to find their way to our chats are Sir Glenelf was promised a toaster. We have some answers. There's some people that are threatening some smoke. Let's give some toasters away. What say you about the toasters ordeal?
I mean, I don't live that far from Glenelf. My friend, just go outside, butter your toast, stick it on the concrete. You'll have perfectly toasted buttered bread here in a matter of seconds. It's so hot.
It's very hot. But then it rained, and then it decided to take my power away. So I'm not very happy with the weather right now.
Here during that storm for a total of 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Just long enough to make it humid, but still hot.
Right. All right. And the other general question that we have that near and dear to my heart. What are your thoughts on bears?
Have you seen me?
Yeah.
I love bears. Bears are awesome. I consider myself one in many groups, so
That's awesome.
we'll leave it at that.
Sure, absolutely. Moving on. Let's talk about some of the questions that were submitted or some that I've kept, because one of the things that our community has for Kingdom of Kodiak has done is submitted some great questions. So good that I keep some of them because I think everyone should be asked these questions. And the first one is from Tajima. What is your most memorable day of Amtgard?
Most memorable day of Amtgard. And obviously, when you get asked a question like that, you immediately forget all the days in Amtgard.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Actually, the most memorable day of Amtgard, I wouldn't even be able to tell you when it was or what exactly we were doing. It was specifically a day that I remember it was early fall. Amtgard was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's memorable for me because it was a day that I had my kids out with me and my wife and my family out. And we had a picnic on the side. We set up our pop-up and just enjoyed being at Amtgard together with our friends and family. And that's the most memorable thing. It's not the fighting. It's that specific memory of being there, enjoying just the outside fresh air with friends and family. With family, I'm not even gonna say friends and family. It was all family there.
Yeah.
And that amazing moment. That was it.
That's awesome.
And
It
it's happened
is.
countless times, but it's repeatedly the most memorable moment of Amtgard is having
That's awesome.
that peace.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we sometimes take for granted when it comes to Amtgard. Is it's a hobby, it's a game, it's something to enjoy, and these people that you're hanging out with your entire Saturday or your entire Sunday for some parks are you consider family. You go out of your way to help, and then you build these relationships with these people that even when it's not Amtgard time, you're more than willing to be there for them. Shout out to Dame Annabelle and moving boxes 2 weeks ago. I was there. I did it. Um, like these are great people that we have in our game. And thank you again. Your answer just rings like more true than any one day could personify. That's great. Um, I did want to try to transition from that question. It's probably going to be a little unique, but you did mention earlier that you were from a different park than Pegasus Valley. Most people playing the game now would associate you as being one of the members of Pegasus Valley. Can you give us a little bit of your history when it comes to the parks you've been playing for?
So, I've been a member of Pegasus Valley for most of my time.
Mm-hmm.
I think before Pegasus Valley, I was at a park known as Stormfall Mesa, which does not exist anymore.
Nope.
A lot of drama, a good lesson to be learned from letting toxicity grow in a park.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I was there for I think a year and a half, year and 6 months roughly. And then I came back. It was actually a decision of we came back from Gathering of the Crowns,
Mm-hmm.
and that Saturday started at Pegasus Valley officially. Just full transition. Yeah. Other than that, those are the only two parks I've ever played at. I was unlucky enough. I came from Georgia. Is where I was military brat. Grew up most of my life on the East Coast. When I lived in Georgia, there were no parks. Amtgard did not exist, at least to my understanding, other than I think there was a park in Valdosta, which is way down south.
Mm-hmm.
So I, looking for something like this my whole life, never found anything like this.
Right.
So I just happened to go to Comic-Con with my wife, stumbled upon it. They had some people there. met the next day at park with them, had the time of my life, and then it just kind of kicked off a thing. And then going from that park, which at the time I had not understood but was a toxic situation, to a park like PV, which is, in my opinion, one of the best parks.
Yeah.
Just because we are so old, we've built up that. Cruces has it too, that just people know each other and there's a history there. But yeah, that's my history from parks. I went from what was a very small barony up to a duchy, which at the time when I transferred, Pegasus Valley was the largest park in the game.
Yeah,
I don't know if we
and still one of the very much the biggest parks in the game still.
And then relating to that, I have traveled though. I've been to mini parks. I am 2 parks away from my Dragon Rider, I think.
What parks you got to hit still?
Yuma, and then Silver City, believe it or not. I've been to more parks in Arizona than I've been to Silver City. Every time we've tried to hit a Silver City, it hasn't happened. Something's come up, or I can't remember what it was. I think I had a trip to Silver City planned out earlier this year, and then COVID happened.
Yeah. Well, when you do make that trip, let me know.
Oh, I will. I will. My hope is, if everything works out, we can do another ride of the Dragon Riders when everything clears up and it's safe to do so, which will be a while. We'll be honest. Don't anybody quote me that we're going to be doing this anytime soon. This is well after things are safe, because we're going to be traveling to multiple parks. But my plan would be to get together and try and do a repeat of what my knight had did with starting the Dragon Riders.
Yeah.
And that's hit all the parks within 10 days if we can. I'm not going to hold myself to 10 days. We'll figure it out. Maybe break it into 2 sections. We've got logistics to do, but we're going to do it, okay?
Right. That sounds great. Yeah, again, you're hinting at some of the questions coming because you mentioned your night, but we're almost there, I promise. We're almost there. Deverick wanted to ask the serious question. This is the question that I know since we had another Gideon on this chat, when Gideon Farrellhart came on, that you've been specifically making a push for. And I'm very proud of you for doing that. But Deverick wants to know, what is your plans for achieving Paragon with limited to no fighting if you can't do that? Just for health reasons.
Okay. So as we mentioned, I have the health issues. As we've also mentioned, my favorite class is Warrior. So obviously the idea is Paragon Warrior. That's actually the only class I've ever cared about Paragon again. I love playing it, all the classes. Warrior is the only one Paragon Warrior is truly the only title I've ever fought for and will earn eventually. I will find a way. The plan right now is I am building up to safely fight to an extent. I still have heavy restrictions. But on top of that, I'm continuing my other goals outside of fighting. I don't believe that you should have to fight to be able to embody a class. One of the big restrictions that a lot of people were telling me is because you have a warrior, you have to have a lot of armor. You have to have 6 points armor to Paragon, stuff like that. I don't believe that's so, and I'm going to prove it. Put it simple. There's so much more, as I mentioned before, there's so much more to Warrior than just spending $3,000 on armor to get 6 points, and then that's it. People think that's all you have to do to go out there and wreck a field. You can have 6 points of armor and get destroyed very quickly. Once again, I made it to 6th level Warrior without ever putting armor on, which, to be fair, you just show up and play the class. But that gave me very unique experience of learning to play a class without your major abilities. Those abilities I think it's really only 2 abilities on the warrior list that actually affect whether or not you have armor.
Right.
Scavenge, which is your level 1 and your bread and butter. You kill somebody, scavenge, you repair your armor.
Mm-hmm.
Or an item, you can repair anything. A lot of people forget that. You can repair weapons for other people. You just pick up their weapon, kill somebody, repair, or scavenge, and you repair. So there's a method right there that you don't have to have armor or anything to do. I don't even have to fight somebody too much. You can kill somebody without fighting. If you're good enough. That's a little bit assassiny. But so there's that. There's ways to use it on the field without being directly in combat. I have done it before. You can play the guy from Monty Python and just stay in the back lines insulting people over the line. As long as you're being what a warrior is, and to an extent you are a distraction.
Yeah.
Your job is to take on the enemy and distract them and get your people through. And be a pest, be a pain.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be unforgettable. And you can do that with just, like I said, being on the back line, insulting people, and running away. If you know who your targets are, you know what you're doing. On top of that, I'm working, right now it's not open, but I'm eventually going to try and take back my Guildmaster of Warriors position, which I had been since I started. When I got sick, I stepped down. I'm going to try and go back to it, just so we have somebody there educating and leading new warriors into the class. One of my projects I'm working on is building up an armory for the Guild of Warriors, but anybody at my park, any visitor can use. But the idea is it being the Warriors Guild Armory. To have armor for people to use, to learn how to properly do it. On the learning, I have been working on writing up scripts because I'm going to do basically what I'm going to call my master class in Warrior. A series of videos dedicated to showing my experiences, view of what makes a warrior, what makes a master warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, in my idea, it is what I equate to my thesis. This is my thesis that will get me my masterhood in warrior. This is all the things I've learned over the years in playing from a unique perspective, and all the knowledge I have that will benefit not just warriors, anybody who wants it, but warriors the most as it focuses on them. I plan on having one entire video based on armor and the different types, how to acquire it, because a lot of people, once again, think armor is a money thing. It's not. Like, everything costs money. I'm not going to say you can get armor for free, but I mean, if you try hard enough, you can find armor for free.
Sure.
Like, you can make armor for free. Go to a scrapyard, find some. Go on Facebook, find some metal somebody's throwing out. You try hard enough, you can make armor. We've had people make armor out of what are they?
Popcat tops?
Yeah, popcat tops.
Yeah.
You do it right, you can make it. It will be like 1 point synthetic at best, but
that's the thing about armor for warrior, for any class. 6 is not.
Yeah, that's what I was about to get to.
Right.
Everybody thinks 6 is the big thing.
No.
6 is not. 1 point of armor is a billion times better than 0 points of armor.
Right.
There is a major difference, and you fill that gap with skill and knowledge. So if you can't have 6 points of armor, you go for 1 point of armor first. 1 point is 1 hit stopped. Your goal in that after that 1 hit is to get them before they can hit you a second time. If You can hit them before a second hit goes, scavenge, you've got unlimited armor. As a warrior, all you need is 1 point of armor. Other classes, you're set with just whatever armor you wear, that's all you have for the entirety of that battle game.
Right.
Warrior, 1 point of armor is 1 point of unlimited armor as long as you know how to kill your enemy.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
The next step up, a lot of people don't, they go 1 or 6. No, it's 1, 4, 6. The reasoning behind that is 1 point of armor will stop 1 hit. 3 points of armor is great. 2 points of armor is great. But 1 arrow will stop anything 3 and under. Erases it. Gone. However, 4 points of armor is 2 arrows. So at 4 points of armor, you have to get hit 5 times by a melee weapon or 3 times by an arrow. You see what I'm saying? And then at 6 points, it's 6 points.
It's still 2 hits or 2 arrows and then a kill.
No, because at 6 points, it goes, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I'll have to double check that. It's a different math. There's more to it than that. Because because I think the way arrows work is if it's above 3 points, it's only 1 point, right?
I don't think that. I think it's
been a while since I've been a guild master of Reeds, but we'll double check that. I'm pretty sure if it can't take all the 3 points, it only takes 1 point. And then but that I may be wrong. That may be some bad intel from a long time ago that I'm drawing on.
That's fine.
Don't hold me to it. We'll look it up.
Sure. So one of the other parts of being able to be a better warrior, better player in Amtgard, and something that we're experimenting on with our Discord channel is the roleplay aspect. So Devrica had also asked, how much does the roleplay impact where you're going with your class and your persona? And do you want to see more roleplay in Amtgard?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so. I'll start backwards. Yes, I would love to see more roleplay in Amtgard. I am a huge nerd. I am a huge role player. I love tabletop games and stuff like that. I'm one of the nerds that does free-based roleplay when I can get a chance, which sounds weird. I do word-based roleplay when I get a chance. But yeah, so roleplay is a huge thing. I love the idea of taking this dream we have within ourselves and playing it out. This is what the game is. It's a LARP, live action roleplay. You're enacting your dreams upon the world. So who wouldn't enjoy that? So yeah, I would love to see more roleplay in the game. Let's see. I said I would do it backwards, but I've lost my track of the.
How much is it impacting your growth to Paragon Warrior?
It's impacting a lot. I believe that's going to have a heavy bet into it right now, as we're not able to go into interperson play. Like we can't go to the park or anything like that. So right now, heavily in Dragonspine is a lot of its role play. Even the stuff outside of the role play, if you're on Discord and you're talking about Amtgard, in some sense, you are role playing what you're doing. So role play is pretty heavy right now. That's what we're doing. So to an extent, I believe it's going to be pretty heavy on it because we've got at least until probably the end of this reign that we're going to be on and on. It's going to be, even if we don't go full, it'll still be
the most of it.
Yeah, Discord will still be heavy for us. So roleplay is pretty heavy, and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving the role plays you're running with us, and getting to play out that character, because for a lot of us, everybody's built up this character in their heads. Everybody's got their own character in that. I could write a book on the history of my character, and I have somewhere. So yeah, everybody's built a rich history of what the character is. So, and we don't always get a chance to talk about that in person or at games. So I love that Discord's opening that up. I would love to see it more in person, though.
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
I love what I'm here in Las Cruces is doing. Well, you guys were doing with the tavern. I love that idea. That's an amazing idea. I personally have already been talking about how we need to open a tavern at Pegasus Valley, just for side games.
Yeah.
And that goes into more fun for the people, those of us who can't fight all the time.
Yep.
If why not run a tavern over there? Run some side games. I was looking and talking to somebody about uh, Viking chess and some other like really cool games we could bring in, and then your dice on a drum game.
Yeah. It's
So
addictive. It really is. We started playing it just to kind of kill time in between battle games and stuff, and then it became what Park was mostly about. And then we start seeing it make to other parks, and other kingdoms have started playing it. I've had to send out the rules of play of the game out to other kingdoms because of requests. It's yeah.
great achievement.
So,
Uh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna ask the next question to the warrior set for you, um, and that would be, what is your favorite weapon combination?
So my favorite weapon combination. Okay, so I'm going to give you multiple answers here.
Okay.
So my favorite to go on the field with is large shield, large round. I fight Viking round shield. It's just the traditional style I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
So large shield, uh, either a short or long sword. Usually a short. I used to do long, but I've picked up short since I started fighting tourney
Mm-hmm.
style. So I'll have a short on hip, and then I'll have a javelin in hand. Uh, if I can and when I can, I will also have a dagger on the back of my shield. Listen, people, remember that if you're fighting me, that is one of my favorite tactics. So my favorite weapon combo, definition of combo two, being two, shield and hidden dagger. Because my favorite thing to do on people is drop the shield, grab the dagger, and hit you with the same hand. So shield drops down flat. So you're watching the shield, you watch it down. Before you notice it, I'm already stabbing you with the dagger that's in my hand that the shield
Right.
is. It's a fun tactic to do, especially if you can show that you don't have a weapon. So in that being, I will have my javelin, which I will normally hold off on throwing until you're real close. My javelin is usually used more as a lance. And I will use it to keep you at bay. And then when you're not thinking I'm going to throw it, that's probably when I'll throw it. And then when I don't have that javelin in my hand, but I don't have a sword in my hand, that's when you'll see the dagger come out. Because people will be like, oh, I don't have a weapon. And then you trick them. Or if somebody's stupid enough to get close to a warrior, you dagger them.
Yeah.
It's boot knife, but I shield knife it.
Yeah.
But what's another great thing about the warrior class is you are open to any and every weapon and piece of equipment there is that exists. No other class has that.
Right.
Not as truly as you do as a warrior. Other than you don't have throwies. You have javelins, which personally I like a little bit better. Throwies are cool. Javelins, you can hit them with melee and throw.
Yeah.
And if you get within the restrictions, right, you can have. Once again, don't quote me on the length, but I'm pretty sure you can have a javelin pretty close to dagger size. Legally, I'll have to double check that.
Yeah. Double check that
I'm
as
sure
well.
I'm not.
All right. Well, while we're talking, one of the only people to have done that this reign, you were the person who reached out to me and said, "I want to be a member of your royal guard." Why? I guess is the big question.
For me, back to the roleplay thing, I love it. It fits my character. He's just Gideon Stormcaller is a very helpful veteran soldier at this point. Being a member of the Royal Guard allows him to reach out to more people, to provide help to more people, allows him to keep an ear on what's happening within the castles, uh, and just gives him a rite of passage that helps him out from a role-play standpoint. My character, for the most part, spends most of his time in a pocket universe, which some people know about, some people don't. My character and my wife's character, who we are canonically married in game as well in real life, my wife is a green witch from a coven of basically true neutral coven of witches that live in a pocket of space time that you can, for the most part, only get to if you find yourself lost in the woods in need of help. Um, Basically, that classic, how do you stumble upon a witch? You go get lost in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we live in, for the most part, I live in the coven, but I spend a lot of time traveling the realms helping people. Uh, and part of that is where I'm good at. I'm a guardian, I'm a protector, I'm a veteran soldier. Where best can I put that knowledge and skill to? Member of the guard.
Right.
If I can be a member of the Royal Guard, that puts me at the top tier. That's even better. And I have successfully been able to be a member of the Guard since King Baihu. For every reign since King Baihu, I have been at least a member or a member as captain of Guard.
That's awesome.
Of the Guard. So yeah, that's what Baihu was 2, so that's a year. 2, that's a year.
It's almost 2.5 years. Yeah. No,
3.
almost 3.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
And then you're starting my 3.5.
Wow, that's great.
I don't know
It's
if I've
another.
earned your captain yet, but eventually.
Well, you're the only one right now, so technically you're my captain. I mean,
The singular guy.
well, given your stature and your ability to fight, I would say many people are going to stay away from me. That being said, I'm sure Xander the Reaper is going to hear that I only have one messenger and I'm going to get stabbed at mid-rain or end-rain. It'll be great. No big deal.
We'll see. If I can be there, I'll be there.
Awesome.
We'll find a way for it to be there. Otherwise, good luck.
Right. So, we've talked about your role play. We've talked about you being a warrior. We've talked about you being in the Royal Guard. We've talked to you about being there for your kingdom. I want you to get a chance to let the kingdom know about these awesome champion challenge items that you're bringing to the game right now.
Oh, yeah. Real quick, correction on my javelin knowledge. It's 36 inches, which is still about a short stabby weapon. So still you can have some fun with it. And you can always block with them.
Right.
But back to your thing. Okay. So I came up with the idea is I wanted to do twofold. I wanted to make a set, a weapon and a shield that worked together, that worked with my storyline, that fit my character, but also were really cool and interesting. And maybe not like other people were doing. So Stormcaller, which is my sword, is canonically from the story that we are telling, was once a shard of the literal sky that had been shattered by a goddess or a titan in this perspective, and used to slay another titan. That was later taken to Eitri, one of the great dwarven forge workers. Some of you may know he's the one who forged Mjolnir, and formed into a sword. Later, that weapon went dormant, along with its owner having disappeared. More RP there for people who want to learn later. Its partner, Shkili, I'm probably murdering that pronunciation. I am sorry. I need to work on it. It's been a while since I've heard it. Translates to shelter, is a shield that the owner of Stormrender forged from clouds. The owner of Stormrender is my character's mother, who is Tempest, who is the raw, natural, primal energy of the sky and storms. She's storm incarnate. So I wanted a sword that willed the wrath of the sky and a shield that gave you the ability to protect people and weather the storms. Was the idea. If things work out, the shield shelter will be able to give circle of protection, and I'm hoping we can work out adaptive blessing.
Okay.
And then on the sword side, my dream goal, if I can get everything, if I get all the souls that are available, and our champion works with me, the sword will be able to do heat weapon at a base level. Idea being that you're striking the weapon with lightning rather than the person. Call lightning as its big ability, and then the stretch here, if I can get it, is it'll have poison weapon immediately after using call lightning or heat weapon for that first hit. So,
Okay.
like once again, per the way the game works, I'll have to enchant it, but I'll only be able to enchant it after using within the restrictions. And the idea being there, poison weapon is with the only thing within the rule books I could find that fit what I wanted it to do. Is basically give it wounds kill after this weapon's been charged with lightning.
Right.
So basically the idea is I use this weapon to call lightning upon you. Lightning strikes you. This weapon is now charged with electrical energy. I discharge it by hitting you, and no matter where I hit you, you're getting the power of the storm.
Yeah.
So all in all, to me it sounds badass. It's my favorite build I can think of. Sounds really OP, but I'm actually using relatively low level spells. Like if you look at them, and then I'm putting a lot of restrictions on balancing it out myself with how many I would allow myself to have.
Right.
Even when I bring it to the champion, as we've had this discussion several times, I'm probably bugging them too much because I'll constantly message them and be like, hey, does this sound fair? Like, I want to make sure I'm not doing too powerful, but I also want to make sure I'm not undermining myself. I want to be fair to myself, but also fair to everybody else. So while that sounds like a lot, like I think the idea was heat weapon would at best was going to be a 3 per refresh, or maybe a 2, and then call weapon. So I call lightning was going to be, I think, a 1 or a 2 at best per refresh. And then I think the poison weapon was going to be a 1 per refresh charge times 3. So that's the possibility of it going off more than that. But once again, it can only be done immediately after using call lightning or heat weapon.
Right.
So, and then it has to be refreshed after that. So there's a lot of variable in there. And then like circle of protection was my favorite idea that we came up with. Because I wanted the shield to be able to protect, as a warrior, I want to be able to protect people around me. Everybody has this idea in their head, like you watch shows, anime, there's always that scene where the warrior brings up the shield and like blocks this huge attack and veers it off the shield and everybody behind him's safe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in Amcard, there's no way to do that mechanically. Then we came up with the idea of circle of protection. Then at least if they're just behind, if I get them behind me, it's 5 people can touch my back. I'm a big dude. 5 people can touch my back.
Yeah,
Are they
absolutely.
close enough to qualify for touching my back? Then we've got it. That's circle of protection. That makes them immune from anything that's coming their way until they either let go or I drop the spell, which I think works really cool in a cool way. And then the adaptive blessing is just another way of protecting myself and people around me.
Cool.
So
That's awesome. Yeah, I just got Garanata, which is my weapon, hold person, and I'm very excited about that
yeah,
because
so far we only have circle of protection worked out.
yeah,
So circle of protection, and I think I've got 2 per refresh, which I'm happy with. That's more than I was expecting.
right.
So
Okay, all right. So we've talked about all of this amazing stuff with your warrior stuff, getting to the point of Paragon through uh, leadership and training, your role play, your supplying of the weapons for the as a guild master of warriors. Tajima had a question last week that I think is perfect for this scenario. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years. I would hope closer to my goal of masterhood. Uh, Maybe my knighthood by then.
Okay.
If I grindstone and show that I've earned it by then, I would hope that people would start to see that. I don't expect to be knighted by then. It's just I hope people see me on the charts at least by then. Hope to have a couple kingdom spots under my belt. Uh, if everything works out, probably be working with the AIBOD as well.
Cool.
I've been a BOD member for a couple reigns now.
Mhm.
For park level. I was park level BOD at Stormfall at one point in time. Uh, so I'm trying to better myself IRL so that way when things come, I have the knowledge and stuff to work towards that. So yeah, I would like to see myself somewhere in Randall's shadow. I don't think I'll ever equate to his deeds in Amgard, but we'll get there.
Okay. Well, you mentioned going for a masterhood, and I did tie on the question. What masterhood would that be going for?
Definitely Master Rose at some point.
Okay.
Service. Rose's service, right? It's been a while since I've had this conversation. Service is my main key thing. I've and is always going to be a given.
Mm-hmm.
Even without going to, I'm never going to try for a master in service. I just expect that someday that may happen. I'm
Right.
going to always be putting forward, even if I get Knight of the Flame, I will still be working as service.
Sure.
So that was always kind of there, but also on the back burner. It was
Yeah.
never my focus to become a Knight of the Flame. If I become one, I become one. That would be awesome. Kind of like Knight of the Crown. Those are both things that I expect someday I will qualify for, just through. That's what I love to do. I love to serve and I love to lead. So those have always been passive goals for me.
Sure.
I would love to see myself getting closer to Warlord, which is a huge deal with my restrictions.
Uh-huh.
So if we can get somebody who's medically disabled as I am to earn a Warlord, that would be amazing. I don't think I'm the first person to do it, but we'll see. Once again, I'm a persistent bastard. I'll figure it out. Sorry for my language.
No, not a problem.
And then Serpent Path. I would love to go Dragon. I think that fits Dragon's armor, right?
Dragon is cloth armor. I think that would be
Garber is
owl. I think owl is. Again, we'll look it up.
Yeah,
Damon, I believe you're in the chat.
Owl or dragon, whichever one it is that is
Sure.
weapons and armor.
Yeah.
I would love to see myself be getting closer to that. As not only does that help me, but I can use it to help other people. And it fits as a warrior, being able to going from wearing armor made by other people to wearing armor that I made myself, and then equipping new warriors with armor I've made myself. I think that would be a long time goal.
Sure.
And I think a huge moment would be to along that path. I see stepping stones of the big goal of that day I get to wear my own armor on the field, and then that beyond that, the day I get to see a new warrior wearing my armor on the field.
It'll be a good day, that's for sure.
Yeah, those are days I hope I get to see.
Okay, so transitioning to the one of the final topics, which is your belt line. I do want to put out the awesome quote that Sir Francis has told every night since I've been playing the game as they get knighted. When you get belted, the journey has now begun. Your position is now set, and you now have obligations to the game. It's one of my favorite quotes from anyone ever, and that says a lot because I was in the military for 6 years, so I heard a lot of great quotes. But yeah, your journey begins. So let's all members of the Kingdom of Kodiak show, members of Dragon Spine, let's always remember that if aspiration is knighthood, once that happens, if that ever does happen, that's when you've got to start. The work is 24/7.
Yeah, that is a huge thing that I have argued for and brought up many a time, as this has been an argument for in Amtgard Greater for many years now, since I've been in it at least. Knighthood is it's an award, but it is a position. It is an awarded position. You are a paragon of the community. You are the first person any new person coming to the field is going to look at and try to emulate.
Yep.
As soon as you put on that white belt, you are taking on a position that you can never step down from.
Well,
you can step down from. What I mean is when you take that belt off, you're still a knight. Like, until you officially step down and lose the title, like, everything you are doing, you are a knight. So therefore, you need to be holding yourself to that standard, because you are not just a standard to other players, you're a standard to our community.
Yep.
And then out of everybody the outside world looks at, they are going to, the first person somebody's going to, if news outlet at wherever to like look at us, they're going to use the knights of the community as the people they're going to talk about. So
right. All right. So that's knights. Let's talk about yours. Let's talk about your belt line. Why don't you give us a little insight to your knight, your belt brothers and sisters, or your belt family?
I am knighted to Sir Baihu.
Belted to.
Belted to. Thank you for correcting me. You're saying knight so much. I am belted to. I am Squire to Sir Baihu, who has been a long-standing friend with me since I think I met him 6 months after I joined. Mm-hmm. And we've been close friends ever since. He's not as active right now. He's kind of on a hiatus from Amtgard. But my hope is to bring him back to the game, bring him back as back to his more active state. He served as king. A lot of people know two in a row that were some of the most stressful times. Well, now that you've done it through a pandemic, that I think that might equal.
Well, he was our first floating crown.
Floating crown during a pretty turmoil. What's the word I'm thinking of?
Tremont.
Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say. There was turmoil in the kingdom when he took over.
Yeah.
And he unified the kingdom for a long time. and set up a lot of what players nowadays see as normal. Like this stuff is all new. I do not think a Kingdom Discord would have worked during his time, before his time. I don't think we were unified enough for that. I don't think.
Sure.
So he brought a lot to the table and brought about a new normalcy to Amtgard for Dragonspine, and led the way. He paved the way for us to stand where we are now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your family.
My Belt family. I haven't gotten to meet my whole Belt family yet, because I am relatively new to Squirehood. As far as it goes, I officially got my belt, I want to say September. Something about September rings a bell.
Squired in November last year.
November, okay. So in November of last year, but you got to remember that I was on and off during that time. I was very sick.
Yep.
And then COVID happened. So, and then since then, we have had one of our belt members step out of Amtgard entirely. So, or at least the belt family. So I have not met everybody, and I'm not sure who all is still active in Amtgard.
Okay.
But I love them. They're my family.
Yeah.
I know technically because belt families are so weird. Baihu was belted to Randall.
Yep.
So technically, Randall's my belt granddad.
Yeah, your belt. Yep.
So I am technically a member of Randall's belt family as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge fucking family.
Yes, it is.
Once again, I apologize for my language. I try not to curse as much, but it's hard to describe that in layman terms.
Right. Yeah.
And that also is a huge responsibility, as being in a family of two knights that I personally hold in huge regard.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people do, Randall and Baihu. And then within their family are a lot of knights.
Yep.
I think Sir Sane was one.
Sir Sane, it was Sir Glenel's Squire.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Again, I know a little bit about this because knighthood is one of my favorite topics.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you. It's because I know it's one of your favorite topics. Also, you live closer to Randall than I do. You're closer than him with him, so you know a little bit more about this. Also, most of his belt family are from roughly that area.
Well, he was one of the first knights that it was documented for, at least, where he actually took applications from Amtgardia as a whole, so that people on the East Coast or people in the Midwest or the South had an opportunity to be part of the Adelso belt line, because he's trying to build people. He wants good people. It's a great story, and being in that belt line, you have a great opportunity here to learn some of.
I actually have his belt.
Wow.
My Squire belt is the historical belt passed through that line. So if you ever look at my Squire belt, it's actually not Baihu's symbol, but Ben's symbol into it. And it's so old that there's actually a tear in it. That the first thing Baihu told me is that when it's going to break, don't worry, you didn't break it. It's going to break. When it breaks, first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut it. You're going to flip it over. You're going to put a ring there, and you're going to stamp it together with a ring there. You're not going to let this get any shorter. Just that's what it happens.
That's awesome.
But yeah. And then to that end, because it plays into this, the funny story of how I met Sir Randall when I didn't know who Sir Randall was.
Sure.
Was in my search for a knight, back at my second GOTC, I think it was,
Okay.
I had approached, I want to say it was Sir Quiet at the time, who was my friend from the prior GOCT, and then we stay in touch over Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
He was just one of the knights that I had met in the battlefield and loved playing with, so we became friends. And then I'd approached him about getting a belt, but he's in another kingdom, and he didn't feel comfortable with the distance of the kingdom issue. But he looked over and he saw Randall walking by and said, "That's the guy you need to be talking to." Told me the legends of Randall.
Yeah.
And told me I should go talk to him. That's how I introduced myself to Randall. Not asking for a belt at the time because I didn't know him. But I did walk up to him and get introduced through Sir Quiet. I still wouldn't find out exactly who Randall was until probably 6 months later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just the random bit of knowledge that happened. Just I met Randall long before I knew who he was.
Yeah.
And now
which is amazing given that how out in front of Amtgard he's been. I know that when I started, my story is not everyone's story. I get that, but I watched all of the ALU videos before my first week of Amtgard.
Yeah.
So when I came to the park, I knew who Sir Sane, Sir Randall, Dame Emmer, Dame Asriel Jade. I knew who those people were going to the park, and I do have a distinct honor of going to a park where the majority of our populace currently, as a shire, is knights. Yeah. You know, the kingdom seat when it was the stagnant crown. The people who, a majority of the people who helped get it to a floating status, these are all knights, and I got an opportunity to know who they were. But yeah, it is interesting to see people who join the game without that starter of watching the ALU videos go, yeah, he's wearing a white belt, but so he's a sir or a dame.
Yeah.
I don't know who that person is, though. And then when they find out, they're like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I find it very odd that I met Sir Randall so late in my... Because at that point, I knew Father Thomas, Sir Father Thomas, who's a legend throughout Amtgard. At least that's how I was introduced, and I always mention him as he's a legend throughout Amtgard. Mm-hmm. And then I'd already met Sir Forrest, and several other knights of renown from throughout the larger Amtgardia.
Yeah, Amtgardia.
Still hadn't met him yet. So that was kind of crazy. Sorry, my kids are coming. And then back to my whole experience, especially with Baihu, is the first person I ever asked to belt me was Baihu himself. Back when I think it was in his first term as king, back when we had been friends for a few months at that time. Mm-hmm. I was looking for a mentor, and somebody I could trust to teach me what I needed to know to be a good leader. And at that point in time, I saw King Baihu as the paragon of that. Yeah. He wasn't a knight at that time. I was asking for a man-at-arms belt, and he politely refused. He said he believed I was further along than he was ready for at the time, and that I needed a knight. And he recommended me to another knight, who is Sir Stefan de la Sol in Arizona. And that led me down a long, windy path that was amazing, and I love those guys. And everything, but at that time, Sir Stefan was stepping out of Amtgard.
Yep.
So he for a little bit there, we had talked about it, but he decided ultimately he was going to step out, and he didn't want to take anybody. Some more time passes. I continue my search for the knight who will train me and lead me. And Sir who gets knighted. And I send him a text like, "Hey, bud, you got that white belt now. You wanna go rethink that conversation we had?" It was a lot more complex and complicated than that, and a lot more personal than that. But that's the story I'm telling.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, that's how inevitably the fates saw it that I would be knighted back, or squired, belted is the word I'm looking.
Yep, there it is.
Because at the point I wasn't even looking for a squire belt. Squire is what he saw to give me. But yeah, that's how I ended up in Sir Bahi's family.
That's a great.
I am so very happy to be here.
Right. All right. So we're at the end. There's one question left. It is from Lady Stillhat. She wants to know if, and it is a goofy question, but that's fine. Does Tajima deserve Sonic?
What does she mean by that?
Well, Tajima asked Lady Stillhat last week why she didn't get him Sonic. And now Stillhat wants to retort and ask the greater community, did he deserve it to begin with?
I mean, sure. Does he deserve it? Is the question you need to be asking yourself.
Well, Gideon, this is a call to action for you. These are Cloud's Edge members. So you're going to need to find a time to get there so you can test to see if Tajima truly deserves that Sonic or not.
Well, I mean, in my personal opinion, I've met Tajima. We actually, I think it was a while ago. I can't remember how many reigns ago. I think we ran against each other for Kingdom.
GMR?
Yeah, GMR, Guild Master of Reeves. And from what I understand, it was the closest election we had in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he respectfully won, and I supported that. And he's been, since then I've known him. We had open discussions. I'm pretty sure there's still a video on Facebook of when we were campaigning against each other. Yeah. We had a video. Personally, if he hasn't done anything to not deserve it recently, give the man Sonic.
Give the man Sonic, Stillhat. That's where we're at with this. The man deserves Sonic. Just as a little friendly reminder, he is belted to Sir Randall, so he would be in your belt line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's another member that you can reach out to as a belt family.
Maybe at Christmas I'll get it for him.
There you go.
if he hasn't gotten Sonic yet, when we have Christmas dinner as a family together, I'll give you Sonic.
Right, Gideon. That comes to the end of our.
Implies that we've got the longest Christmas shopping list with any family.
Right.
Oh, that's going to be a rough Christmas on the wallet.
Right. Gideon, that gets us to the end of our questions for Kingdom of Kodiak. Thank you so much for coming on. We're talking almost every week now because you're in the Discord RP with me. That Discord RP has gotten so exciting that we're starting an actual campaign off to the side. So that's super cool.
Which, by the way, we nailed out those details. So whenever you're ready to talk, we got some stuff to talk about.
We'll be talking this Saturday, I promise. I'm looking at the chat, and it looks like Beatrice, one of our RP friends, is requesting Sonic. Beatrice, you can have Sonic as well. Sonic for everyone. Let's do this. For anyone that has ever heard Sir Francis's story of doing the Taco Bell mid-reign, maybe there's a Sonic mid-reign in there somewhere too.
The Knights of the Silver Bell, as you guys call them?
Well, yeah, that's a distinct group led by Sir Randall and Sir Sane, who take precious time out of my Amp Guardian schedule to go get Taco Bell. But I forgive them because they're great people. Anyways, Gideon, thank you again so much for the Kingdom of Kodiak fans as a whole, next week was supposed to be Xander the Reaper. Xander has requested that his schedule get moved. I'm going to try to find a replacement for him for the coming week. The following week will be our nightly chat. That will be Sir Francis this time. For the Kingdom of Dragonspine as a whole, we did have an all thing put up, and we also did have the expense report put up from the AIBOD. Please go out of your way to make sure that your dues paid and able to vote for such an important list on that all thing. All right. I'll be making a video about the importance of that separate from Kingdom of Kodiak so that people don't have to watch an hour and a half of me and Gideon Stormcaller talking about amazing things so that we can talk more about the business side of Amtgard. But until next time, I'm Kodiak. This has been Kingdom of Kodiak. Thank you and have a good one.
Adios.